If you're tired of inconsistent commissions in sales, in this video, I'm going to give you the 3 steps you need to take to unfuck your sales commissions right now. If, like most salespeople, the amount of money you earn each month is going up and down constantly, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what you need to do to get off the commission roller coaster forever. If you don't know who I am, my name is Josh Lyons, and by going through these 3 steps, I was able to build my income as a salesperson to earning over $100,000 per month in commissions. So let's crack in. The first thing you have to understand is money. Money is going to come into your life based on 3 different things. Number 1 is motivation. Number 2 is methodology. And number 3 is mindset. I call them the 3 M's of money. So if you're riding this commission roller coaster where you're frustrated that one month you make some good amount of money or okay amount of money, and the next month you're back to square one, the problem is one of those 3 M's: motivation, methodology, or mindset. So let's start with motivation. Now you might be thinking, Josh, is this going to be some bullshit motivation video? No, it's not. But if you're a salesperson watching this, you already know that you're not going to close someone on making a change and making a decision until they see the cost, the consequence, what we could call the stakes. That is just motivation. That is just meaning, or we could call it having a big enough why. And so for you as a salesperson, if you're earning inconsistent commissions, probably one of the 3 things that you're missing, and it's probably actually all 3 of them if I'm honest, is that you don't have the motivation to get off the commission roller coaster. And here's why. Most salespeople have a good month, and it's enough for their ego to tell themselves they're doing all right. But the reason that you need to have more motivation than that is that it's not enough for you to not be going up and down every month. So let me just simply give you a big motivation, a big reason why, so that then you will do the methodology and you will install the mindset so you can have consistent commissions. Now, just to labor that point 1 second more, there is a saying that the person who has a strong enough why will find the how and will bear the how. So before we get into the methodology or the mindset, if you don't have enough of a motivation, which you probably don't have already, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video and you'd already have consistent commissions, then you're not going to do the methodology. You're not going to install the mindset and make the changes there, because it's not a big enough deal. This is sales 101. So I shouldn't really need to explain it to you, but I am explaining it to you because you're watching this video saying, Josh, please fix my inconsistency. And just like on a sales call, one of the key things that you would need to dig into is, why does this matter so much for you? Now, you haven't dug into this because you're still in this position. So let me dig into it with you right now. The whole point of having money is to be able to utilize it. And you can't utilize money, or you won't utilize the money that you earn in commissions in sales, even if you had a good month, if you don't have confidence that next month, the same amount of money, thereabout, or ideally more, will be coming in next month. Now, most salespeople, probably like yourself, do not have that confidence. And that lack of confidence, I'm going to show you now how it's robbing you of the life that you want to live. Let me give you an example. If you made $10,000 last month, and then the month before that was $3,000, and the month before that was $5,000, and you're going up and down and having an okay month, then a bad month, then a medium month, and probably 3 to 6 months have gone by before your previous good month, this is what happens. That inconsistency is the singular factor that determines what you buy. Let me prove it to you. You won't upgrade from a $1,500 apartment where you're telling yourself, I want a better view, I want more space, I want somewhere that's got the wow factor. You won't upgrade from that $1,500 a month apartment to a $5,000 a month house to live in just because you had one good month. Why not? Because you're not going to commit to that higher expense, or we could call it risk, if you don't have certainty. Now, this isn't a video on certainty and confidence and conviction in the sales sense. This is a video on you need to have that certainty, conviction, and confidence that your income is going to be consistent, because otherwise you're just going to keep living the same old life. You're going to be in Groundhog Day and nothing's going to change, or it's going to change very, very slowly or very, very minimally. If you want to go from here to here and your life is unrecognizable, the one thing that is the determining factor is, do you have certainty and confidence that next month is not going to be a fucking disaster again, and therefore you keep leveling up your lifestyle, you keep expanding, you keep growing. Let me give you another example. You're driving some beat up old car and you see a car that you'd like, maybe a sports car. Most people would put that on finance. You're not going to finance that sports car that you've always wanted if your commission is unpredictable. Sure, you might have a month where you hit 10K and you go, I could afford the $1,500 monthly payment on a sports car, but what about next month? I just don't know. And then you stay where you feel like this. You feel handcuffed. Nothing actually changes in your life. Now, let me ask you a question. Is that why you got into sales in the first place? To live the same old life that you were living before or marginally different? Of course not. You got into sales to change your life, where you live, how you live, the people you hang around with, the places you go to, simply to level the fuck up. This is not going to happen if you're inconsistent. Literally, your inconsistency in your commissions is the reason why you are still living in the same shitty apartment, driving the same car, not traveling business class, maybe not traveling at all, not buying the watch that you've had your eye on, and making excuses to your family about why you can't help them out financially. You're not utilizing your money because deep down you know next month might be another fucking train wreck. So you sit there paralyzed watching other people living the life that you want to live on YouTube, on Instagram, and you just sit there and your dreams are dying. Not only are your dreams dying, you continue getting older and life is passing you by. The bottom line is, let me give you the first M, which is the motivation. You will not utilize your monthly commissions to level up your life, no matter how good was the one good month you had or the good month every 3 to 6 months, until you have consistency in your monthly commissions. Fix that first M, and that's one of the first 3 steps that we're going to go through today. Let's get into step number 2. Now, to be clear, before you skip through this video, one of these steps without the other 2, you're not going to level up. You're not going to change your life. You need all 3 of these. Second one is methodology. Let's get into methodology in terms of a sales context. The methodology is very simple. You need a methodology that takes the inconsistencies in being a salesperson and makes them inconsistent. Let's break that down very simply. What are the variables? There's you, there's the prospect, and there's the conversation that you're having between the 2 of you. Person 1, person 2, and a bridge. Okay? What do most salespeople do? Most salespeople focus on the bridge, the conversation, the tactics, the gimmicks, the scripts, all of those different processes. But if you really think about it, where is the inconsistencies? Is the inconsistency going to come from you as a human being? Maybe you're inconsistent. Is the inconsistency going to come from the fact that the other person is also a human being? Or is the inconsistency going to really come from the words that are going back and forth between you? If you really look at those as 3 variables, it's pretty fucking obvious. The inconsistency is going to come from the 2 human beings. But what do most salespeople do? They spend all their time focusing on the process in between them. They don't focus on themselves. They don't focus on understanding human beings. And that is why their process is not taking the inconsistent variables and turning them into consistent. It's just wasting all their time on the stuff in the middle. Now, to be blunt, if you're following a sales script, memorized word tracks, pre-planned objection handling, all of your cookie cutter tonality, use this question with this tonality, if those things were the real things that were going to give you consistency, and you've got the fucking words written in front of you, so you're saying the same words every time, how can you not have consistency? I could make a different case for the words are the wrong words, or you haven't practiced the words enough and therefore you're not making the amount of money you make. But hear me out. You're having a good month, a bad month, an okay month, a bad month, a good month, an okay month. If you're reading the same words every single time, how is that even possible? It's not. It's not possible if the words are the conversation between you, the words you say, are the cause of the inconsistency. Truth is, it's not the cause of the inconsistency. The cause of the inconsistency is you and the other salesperson. So let me tell you a story of how I fixed this. First of all, my mentor taught me from ground zero, not words to say, not a script, not tonality training, taught me how to master myself. And by doing that, as I said at the start of this video, I got up to earning over $100,000 per month in commissions. I then took what that mentor taught me, and through a company that I was working at the time, or working with at the time, should I say, they invited me to train Alex Hormozi's old gym launch sales team. Alex Hormozi's great offer, great pitch, skilled closers, nice guys. They knew objection handling, they knew tonality, they knew the word tracks, they even had a sales script. But their commissions, and therefore the revenue by extension of the company, was up and down. How's that possible if the inconsistencies were coming from the sales process? They weren't. They were coming from the human beings, both the sales reps and the prospects. And so when I came in, I taught them 2 things. I taught them internal mastery, which handles the inconsistencies of a human being, the closer. And I taught them how to read and understand human beings and then use different words for different human beings and different situations. That is called scriptless selling. I taught them these 2 things. Let me break down internal mastery. There are 8 different things that you as a human being are going to have inconsistencies in. And through each of those 8 different things, your performance, how you show up, is going to be inconsistent. I'll give you a few of them. I won't go into all of them, but we teach them inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. Same exact system that I taught Alex Hormozi's gym launch sales team. Internal mastery training. We call it the launch pad. Number 1, your emotion, your energy, how you actually feel, your state. If you don't have a way to make that consistent and you bring a different energy or a different set of emotions to each different call, that is the inconsistency, no matter how consistent the words are that come out of your mouth. And you might be saying, well, does that matter if I'm saying the right things? Of course it matters. You're smart enough to realize people feel you. People understand when you've got a bee in your bonnet, your beliefs aren't right, all of these different things. People feel prospects feel much more than just the words you say. They feel who is saying saying them, the intentions behind them, and if you're actually in a good mood, bad mood, too strong energy, or too weak energy, things like that. So inside the Launchpad, first pillar is we teach a tool called a pre-call checklist that teaches you how to control your state and your energy and your emotions. Why? So that inconsistency is off the table. That's done. Let's get into the second one, drive. If you do not have the drive, which I started this video with drive, motivation, then you're just not going to execute properly. You're going to execute half-assed. You're going to over-execute if, your lack of drive is now having you overcompensate in the other direction. Your drive needs to be the level it needs to be, which means you have a mission, you have a purpose, you have a clear target for your commissions, your goals, what that means to you have a clear why. Most salespeople don't have this. So then when, the cookie crumbles and push comes to shove and the going gets tough, as they say, and your prospects are pushing back, most salespeople just break. They have no backbone. The reason they don't have a backbone is they don't have drive. It doesn't matter enough for them to have a backbone. If you fix these inconsistencies in salespeople, you now delete one of the core variables within that triangle, which is you, prospect, and process between the two of you, that causes inconsistency. Does this make sense? Let's get into another one. Beliefs. Health. That's two different ones. Beliefs, if your beliefs are that every prospect turning up is going to be a difficult prospect, unqualified, whether you know this yet or not, if you don't, you can watch other videos of mine on the spiritual side of selling. Your beliefs create your reality. You project that reality into existence. If your beliefs are good one day, bad another day, watch what happens. You'll have good prospects one day and bad prospects the next day. And you might be thinking, that's crazy. How do my prospects change? That's just quantum physics. That's the laws of physics at a deep enough level if you understand them. Another one I said was your health. If one day you're coughing and spluttering and you just don't have good health coming to the call, you're not going to be concentrating. You're not going to be listening. You're not going to be tuned in. You're not going to be present because you're feeling sick. You're feeling under the weather. All of these things, and there's 8 of them, create inconsistency in a human being. But you can get in front of these things. You can get ahead of these things by doing internal mastery training. Hopefully that makes sense. So in terms of your process, which is the second M, methodology, you have to have a methodology that focuses on the inconsistencies, which is not the words that come out of your mouth and having the same fucking cookie cutter words every day to every prospect. It's fix the inconsistencies in you as a human being, your emotions, your energy, your drive, your beliefs, your health, your habits, all of those different things. And then we'll get into scriptless selling, which is fixing the fact that every human being you speak to is different. So that's not consistent. So how can I expect or desire consistency in the output and the results when the input is inconsistent? The only way you can fix that is if the input, the human being on the other end of the phone, is inconsistent. You need a methodology that is adaptable. The only methodology in sales that's adaptable is learning how to speak without pre-planned words. That is called scriptless selling. So when I taught Alex Hormozi's sales team, I didn't teach them any scripts or any word tracks or any objection handling, matrices or anything like this. I taught them how to look at the person on the phone and taught them that's an excuse, that's a rationalization, that's a justification. Look at the body language, look at the way they said that. And I would demonstrate in real time through live training how to understand human beings, which is what my mentor taught me. He didn't teach me what to say or how to say it in terms of tonality. He taught me, do you even know what you should be saying in the first place based on what's happening in front of you? This is the same thing I teach inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. We do 5-hour live trainings on a weekly basis, 5 hours in one go. And I go through call reviews, role plays, and I demonstrate advanced understanding human beings so that the salespeople aren't stuck in this trap of just word tracks. They now are able to say, oh, this human being on this call on this day, they need this approach. But this prospect on a different day at a different time with a different background, different history, needs a different approach, maybe more direct, maybe more soft, maybe less questions, maybe more questions, maybe a little bit more leading and coaching, or maybe a little bit more detachment. If it's what you would call an A-type personality, you have to give them more choices. These are all things I teach inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind and that I taught Alex Hormozi's gym launch sales team. As a result of training their team, I took them to their highest close rates in over a year. So those are the two things in terms of your methodology. Stop focusing on the variable that is the consistent variable, which is a written out process, and look at what is causing the inconsistencies. What are my variables? There's a human being, a process, and another human being. Of those three things, which do I think is probably the inconsistencies? 2 human beings. So focus your time on training those 2 things. You need a sales methodology, we call it self-actualized selling, that encompasses those 2 things. Self-actualized selling is internal mastery training for you as the salesperson, and scriptless selling so that you have a methodology that allows you to communicate differently to any different prospect so that now the 2 inconsistencies are able to be made more consistent. That is how you then have consistent commissions. Hopefully this is making sense. It's pretty basic, but if you have inconsistencies in your commissions, you haven't had the clarity or thought these through. Let's get into the third and final one, which is mentality. This one, it might might rub you up the wrong way a little bit, but I've got to be honest with you. If you don't have the mentality that I'm about to share with you, having the motivation, you'll come up to a brick wall. Having the methodology, you'll come up to a brick wall if you don't have this methodology. So let me use Alex Hormozi's Gym Launch sales team as the example again. You would potentially think that a company with such a great brand, such a great offer, so much history and success would be thinking, we know it all. We already know everything. We've got our objection handling training. We've got our pitch. We've got our presentation. We've got our sales reps. We've got the brand. What else can we learn? And it's that mentality that they didn't have that most salespeople do have, which is, I already know what I'm doing. I've got my process. I've got my objection handling, and they have what's called a closed mind. And that closed mind comes from ego. It comes from the smart aleck mindset of, I already know everything. And the final thing that you have to fix with these 3 M's is change your mentality to saying, you know what? I'm willing to be humble. I'm willing to have humility and say, perhaps I'm a little bit dumber than I thought I was, and I don't have it all figured out. At the end of the day, results don't lie. That's one of the beauties of sales is, how much money did you make in commissions last month? Not a lot. Well, then you probably don't have the right mentality, don't have the right motivation, and don't have the right method. If you're making okay money, but it's up and down, you still have something broken. So the beauty of sales is that you can look at cause and effect very clearly. But just because you can see cause and effect, if your mindset in the middle is distorted, your perspective is, I'm still going to have this wall and I can't see the wood for the trees. I can't see what's right in front of me, proven to me by my results, because I have this know-it-all mindset. Then, as I said at the start of this video, the previous 2 things I taught you won't matter. You have to be like Alex Hormozi's Gym Launch team and say, even though we're one of the best ever in the high ticket space and we've got one of the greatest leaders, we still have things we don't know. And if Alex Hormozi's old Gym Launch team can have that humility and be humble enough, the question is, why can't you? Why are you still telling yourself that you're going to focus on only seeing what you already can see instead of looking at your blind spots and saying, maybe on either side of me, maybe this internal mastery training that I thought was a bit woo-woo and getting into beliefs, or maybe this whole scriptless selling thing, maybe those are the things that I need to explore. Now, hopefully that also makes sense as far as mentality. You cannot allow yourself to have a closed mind. And the final thing I'm going to say is, where does that closed mind come from? It comes from attachment. It comes from attachment to your ego and your identity. Your identity of, I'm so attached to telling myself that my self-worth is at the level that I think it is. I can't bear the thought of going down in the hierarchy of life and saying, actually, I'm a little bit dumber than I thought, and I'm not as competent as I thought, and I'm not as skilled as I thought. But the irony is that your belief of where you're currently at in terms of so much telling yourself that you're so smart is the actual thing that prevents you going to the next level. You actually have to allow yourself to be more real and say, I'm telling myself I'm this good, but my results are telling me I'm this good. And I'm going to actually look at reality instead of looking at this fake illusion, this projection of how good you're telling yourself you are. You have to look at reality and say, you know what? I'm willing to face it. I'm willing to be honest. I'm willing to actually face that reality once and for all so that I can then go above where I previously was telling myself I was at. Okay. So those are the 3 M's. If your commissions are inconsistent, you didn't have a big enough motivation, you didn't have the right methodology, and you didn't have the right mentality. So if you want to fix your inconsistent commissions, you need to realize the cost that you're paying and the price and you could call it the consequence, like in sales, is you're going to stay living the same life, Groundhog Day, over and over again. Then you have to realize your methodology is focused on the thing that is consistent, the methodology and the process, as opposed to focused on the 2 human beings that cause inconsistency. And the final thing you have to realize to fix your inconsistency in commissions is saying, you know what? I don't have it all figured out. And I'm willing to detach, not be attached, from my ego so that I can actually break free and then get up to the next level. Rise up from the ashes like the phoenix, as they say. If you stay attached to having it all figured out and just, I've got my sales script, I've got my word tracks, and that's what I chose to learn, and therefore it must be right. Well, if you've been inconsistent for 6 months, how many more months do you need to see it's going up, down, up, down, up, down, before you're going to wake up detaching from your ego and say, maybe I don't have it all figured out. Maybe I can't keep looking myself in the mirror and telling myself, pat myself on the back, I'm so fucking smart. In conclusion, I'm going to say one thing. The time that it will take for you to go from inconsistent commissions to earning consistent commissions is as long as you want it to take. You can spend another week, you can spend another month, spend another year. How long do you want it to take? That's a decision that's up to you. If you want it to change now, today, then you need to get committed to that motivation of, I'm going to the next level. I commit to the next level. I'm sick and tired, pissed the fuck off, staying at this current level another day, whether it's the house, the car, not taking care of your parents, whatever it is. You then need to say, I'm not going to keep focusing on this methodology, these frameworks that clearly are giving me inconsistency. I'm going to get into internal mastery training, and I'm going to get into scriptless selling so that I can take the 2 inconsistencies and flip them on their head. Flip the script, as you would say. And the third thing you have to decide is it today that you're going to actually be humble? Have the humility to say, I'm not as good as I thought I was. How long that takes is entirely up to you. Now, if you are at the end of this training and you're saying, I don't want it to take another day, you then have another choice, which is, do Do you want to go through those changes alone, which you can if you want to, or do you want to go through those changes with mentorship, support, and a community of other salespeople that are all aligned to the 3 M's that I've shared with you? Having that motivation to never settling for the life that they're currently living. They're constantly pushing to the next level. Having that methodology trained by someone that mastered it, which is myself and my underground mentor who co-leads the mastermind alongside me and trains with me. And then the final thing is having the support and the community around you of a group of people that have the humility to say, we want to be the best. We want to be the top 1% of salespeople. But to get there, we need the mindset of we don't know everything. I actually haven't got this figured out. And being around other people in a community and an environment that are all of that same mentality, that's the easiest way to do it. It's very hard where everybody else around you is saying, oh, we know best. And you're like, actually, look at our results, guys. I think maybe we don't know best. And you're the odd one out. You don't have to be the odd one out. You can join a mastermind if you want to, where everybody is on the same path. So 2 final things. How long do you want this to take? How much longer do you want to be riding the inconsistency in commissions roller coaster? And then do you want to do it all on your own, or do you want to get help? If the answer to those 2 is don't want to wait another day, I want to fix my inconsistency now so that I can utilize my money and level up my life, and I want help to do it, click the link below this video and I'll see you on the inside of the Unicorn Closer Mastermind.